go here. Now a little bit about our sharks. Our white-tip reef shark was originally came to the zoo back in 1990. She was an original resident of our tropical reef exhibit over on the Tropics Trail. However, she, over the years, ate too many of her tank mates, and so we decided over 15 years ago to move her into this exhibit where the fish are larger and faster, and she has a much harder time catching them. Our sand tiger sharks, 2 of them are older males. They've been with us since Discovery Bay opened back in 1997. Our 3 younger guys are 6, 2 of them, or I should say 1 of them is about 6 years old, the other 2 are about 4 years old. So our best eater is going to be this one right here. This is Grace. Keep your eye on her. She's usually the one to give us the best show. Yeah, well, he's trying. Max is trying. So I do also want to point out, I get a lot of questions about our bent sharks. So we've got 2 sharks that have very obvious bends in them. That's haps with one of them. The other one has the very bent, kind of hunchback look. Now, a lot of people ask me about this. They have developed something called Hypo Scoliosis. It's the same sort of thing that humans can get. We developed something called scoliosis, which is a curvature of the spine. Now, in these guys, kyphosis is an up and down bend. Scoliosis is a sideways bend. Now, we don't necessarily know exactly what causes this. A lot of research is being done into nutrition, into flow rates in water, into muscle movements, also in how they're caught. And there's some studies that show that sand tigers are one of the least flexible types of sharks, and they're making them more prone to these spinal injuries when they're caught as juveniles. It's important to know that sharks, their skeletons are all made of cartilage, so it's not made of bone like ours. And so, see, I told you, she gives the best show. Their scoliosis is different than what we would see in humans, and a lot of thought is that they're not experiencing the pain that a human might experience because they have that cartilage and a skeleton instead of bone. So there's not a whole lot we can do to help these guys recover from this. We basically just monitor them, their behavior and their eating, and determine that they're healthy and doing just fine. So they look a little weird, but they're healthy animals. So we're going to be target feeding about, Whitetip's going for it. You can't see her, she's way up high, but hopefully she'll come down. So we're going to be target feeding each of our sharks about 1.5 pounds of fish, and we feed them this 3 days a week. Now it's probably not sounding like a ton of food to you, but in fact it is more than enough. Sharks are built for infrequent meals. It wouldn't be every day in the wild that they would find food or get it handed to them.
Not very aggressive. Oh, come on, buddy.
That's how, maybe this is job security for us. That's what happens. So it's not every day that they would find food in the wild. So they have to make the most out of every meal, no matter how infrequent it is. And they do this in a number of different ways. Firstly, sharks are cold-blooded. Now, we're warm-blooded mammals. We have a 98-degree body temperature that we need to keep up at all times. And it takes a lot of energy to do this. And we get that energy from the food we eat. So we eat our meals, our 3 meals a day, not just to have the energy to do fun things like come to the Minnesota Zoo, but also to keep our bodies nice and warm. It takes a lot of energy to do that. These animals are cold-blooded, which means their body temperature is the same as the surrounding environment, and that is a huge energy savings. It means they don't have to eat even close to what a mammal of their size would have to eat. Sharks are also extremely efficient predators. They have very keen senses, and over 90% of their brain is dedicated to sensory input. These are the things that they hear, see, smell, taste, and feel. Sharks also utilize a 6th sense. They have pits on their nose that are called Ampullae of Lorenzini. So there's your big words for today. Ampullae of Lorenzini are gel-filled pits or pores on their nose that help them to detect electromagnetic signals. Now, animals create electromagnetic signals anytime they move a muscle. So right now, you're creating lots of signals that a shark can feel. Whether you're twitching your arm or moving your leg or even just breathing and your heart beating, sharks can feel that. Same thing with fish. When they flick their tail, flare their operculum, or their hearts are beating, a shark can feel that. And it means that a fish could be completely obscured in the gravel on the bottom, and a shark can still find them just by feeling for their heartbeat. And as you can imagine, that is a huge advantage for a hungry shark. Sharks also have a mouth full of sharp teeth, which I bet you're familiar with. Sand tiger sharks are one of a handful of species that cannot retract back their jaws. So they always have that nice toothy grin you see.
That was great. That was a good one.
They can have upwards of 250 teeth in their mouth at any one time, and they're being constantly replaced. It works like a conveyor belt.